Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where we're working step by step through the ABRSM Theory Grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets that you can download in US letter or A4, and they accompany each step of this series. There's a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials on that website, and you can also access information about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guidebook, How to Take Your ABRSM Music Theory Exam, and it's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to best make use of the time in the run-up to and actually in your exam day. So if you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that'd be really great, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. And now let's crack on and finish this 2017 paper B. And so we're going to move on to question 7 now. So if you turn with me to page 9, we can carry on with question 7. Now I do suggest that you have a go of this first. It doesn't matter if you go wrong. It's always better to have a crack at it and just learn by your mistakes. Always write in pencil, even on exam day. A nice sharp pencil, and then you will perhaps need you will definitely need an eraser just to be sure, and then it doesn't matter if you go wrong. So I'm hoping you've had a go of this, and now we'll have a look at this together. Question 7 asks us to rewrite the following melody, but we need to group or beam the notes correctly. You would never have it where every half or quarter of a beat is just individually written. We have to beam them together. It's like we join the tails to show where each beat falls. Now we're counting in quarter notes or crotchet beats, and so we need to show where every crotchet beat or every quarter note falls. And so before we even start sketching out, let's just think what it is we're going to have to do. And so here we've got a half a beat and a half a beat. Those two halves make one beat, and so they will be joined together. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters of a beat. Those combined together would make a whole crotchet or a whole quarter note, and so we need to beam those together, and we can show exactly where each new crotchet beat falls. And so a half a beat and a half a beat make our next crotchet or quarter note, and so they will be joined together. And again here we got 4 quarters of a beat, and they will be joined together to show our fourth beat. Now the exception to the rule here is, rather than grouping these in half plus a half makes a whole, half plus a half makes a whole, there is an exception to the rule where we can actually beam together 4 quavers or 4 eighth notes that make a minim beat or a half note. The only thing we have to watch out for is that we don't beam over the halfway point of the bar in 4/4, because it's such a long bar, there's such a lot of beats to be counting, we need to see where the halfway point is. However, if we beam all of those 4 together, we're not crossing over, we're not beaming over the halfway point of the bar. There are 2 beats and the halfway point is easily seen, and so we need to join all of those together to get full marks, to show that we know that exception to the rule of grouping in units of a beat. So now we've done the thinking, we just need to get this copied out. So I'm going to just get the note heads in place, and I'm keeping everything aligned so that I don't lose track where I am copying their notes. We've got enough to be thinking about without worrying where we are, and if I'm going to run out of space or if I'm going to lose track and stagger my notes away from theirs and forget which bit I'm actually on. So I'm, as far as possible, just keeping it aligned. Also, it's definitely neat and tidy that way, if we just follow their lead. So now we've done the thinking, we just need to show that we beam those 2 together. So if I beam those together, we can see easily there's beat 1. Now we can beam these 4 quarters of a beat that make a whole beat. And you'll see I'm just keeping the stems showing the general direction of the notes. So that will just slightly slant upwards. Now I need 2 lines to show that they're semiquavers or 16th notes. And there's our second beat of the bar, nicely visible by an appropriate beam. Again, there's our next beat. Just make that note a bit bigger. And then our final beat is shown in these 4/4 of a beat. We need 2 beams there to show that they're semiquavers or 16th notes. And that's so much easier for a performer to read. We can see beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. And so here we can now beam all of these quavers together only when it's just 4 quavers, 4 eighth notes. If ever it's a combination of quavers and semiquavers or eighth notes and 16th notes, you just group in units of 1 beat. But this exception, when it's just quavers, is the correct answer. And there's our final note. So that's that one completed. Let's press on. Now we have our Italian terms and musical performance directions. And now these are presented to us as a multiple choice. This doesn't actually make it any different in the fact that we just have to revise these, and you just have to keep your eyes peeled, because sometimes you just might get caught off guard and tick the wrong answer just by scanning the answers too quickly. You've just got to be really careful that you get the correct definition. And so we can see what they want us to do. We need to show that lento means slow, and so that one will be ticked. And so allegretto means fairly quick. Allegro is quick, allegretto is fairly quick. And so you need to perhaps revise these thematically so that you get used to seeing which words have the similar meanings. So P, which is short for piano, means quiet. And so we will tick that top one. Cresque is short for crescendo. It's also shown as this sign here as we're gradually opening out in volume. Nothing to do with tempo, it's to do with dynamics, volume, and we are gradually getting louder. And so that's the appropriate answer there. Accelerando, now we can see how the word definition comes here, because if we think of the word accelerate, we're getting faster. Accelerando means gradually getting quicker. So that one's quite a memorable one. And then here, this symbol here, like a little triangle arrowhead, means accent. So we just give that one an accent in performance. So that's that complete. And so now if you'll turn with me over the page to the final question of the paper, we're looking at question 9. And everything on this question relates to this little extract of music here. And so we need to just move up to the questions, and then we'll need to keep referring back to the little musical extract. And so we're asked how many bars contain a quaver rest or an eighth note rest. Remember, that's the rest that looks like that. And so let's have a glance through and see how many bars there are. So we've got 1 here, so that's 1 bar. That's another bar, that's 2. That's a different rest, so that doesn't count. And so our answer is 2. Next question, we're asked to complete the sentence. Bar 3 has the same notes and the same rhythm as bar what? So we've just got to do a little bit of an observation here. We can see we've got a downwards pattern from D downwards, jump back to C downwards, and watch out for these performance terms. And just visually we need to glance through. So although this looks vaguely similar, it's not actually correct. However, bar 5, you can see just after a quick glance that is exactly the same. And so our answer is bar 5. Let's see what this question asks us now. This melody is in the key of G major. We need to name the degree of the scale. So we're counting the steps of the scale of the first note in bar 4. So let's just sketch out what scale we've got. We're in the key of G major, so we've got G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then back to G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those sort of are alternately used. It's up to you. And so let's look at bar 4, the first note of bar 4. It's marked with a little star. And so we're looking at this note here. So here we have note G, A, B. If G is the first, 1, 2, 3 is the third, and we can double check that 1, 2, 3, B is the third degree of the scale. And so that's correct. Now we need to see if this statement is correct. Bar 1 contains all the notes of the tonic triad of G major. Now we've already done a little bit of the thinking for this. The tonic triad is made of the first, the third and the fifth. So the question is asking us, does bar 1 contain at least one G, one B and one D? So let's have a look what bar 1 does contain. So we've got a G here, so there's a G. An A, that's inappropriate. A B, that's the next one we're after. C. The next note is D. Then we've got another B, excuse me, and another D. So absolutely every part of the triad, the tonic triad, is represented, and so this sentence is true. So a little bit of maths now. How many semiquavers or 16th notes is the last note of the melody worth? So let's see what the last note of the melody is. And the last note of the melody is a crotchet or a quarter note. And so let's just do a little bit of maths. A crotchet is worth 1 beat, or a quarter note is worth 1 beat, which divides into 2 halves. Half a beat makes our 1. And then if we divide again, we'll find out how many semiquavers or 16th notes. So they double to give us 1, 2, 3, 4 semiquavers or 4 16th notes. And if you bear in mind, they are worth a quarter of a beat. 4 quarters make 1 whole. And so the answer is 4. And now we come to the question where there's no thinking to be done really, but we've just got to pay careful attention, because in the exam we get 10 marks for just copying. So make sure your pencil's nice and sharp, because if your music isn't neat and tidy and easily legible, you may lose some marks, and it would be a shame to throw away a mark where just copying is expected of us. Make sure that you copy the correct bit though. We're asked to copy from the music from the start of bar 1 to the end of bar 2. They're quite long bars, and so we're going bar 1, bar 2, just to here. They even remind us what to look out for. We've got clef, key signature, time signature, tempo marking, dynamics, and all other details. So really just write everything down. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just map out my bar lines to be exactly aligned to theirs. Then I'm not going to get lost. I'm not going to stretch on and run out of space or squish it up, and I'm not going to get confused as to which bit I've done and which bit I haven't. So here we go. As they've reminded us, we need a clef, a key signature correctly placed on the top line, our time signature, and then we need the tempo marking, which is allegretto, and all dynamics. So now we can pop in the piano and then the crescendo, and think I'll do the rest of those as I go along, just so I know they're in the right place. And so I'm just going to get the note heads in. You can copy this in any order you like, just so long as you get it all down one way or another. So I'm just getting the notes heads in. It's just the way I like to go about it. I suppose I could pop the staccato markings in straight away. Rest. Finishing on that last little quaver. Don't know why I've just decided to put the stem in there, but there we go. And so stems up for those, so I'll use a ruler. And so you can definitely just take your time in the exam to make sure that you get every single of those marks that are available to you. Use a ruler for this one. Both of these are the same, so we'll keep that straight as they have done, and that's that one. So the only thing I need to do is just make sure I've got all of the dynamics and there's no more slurs or anything to be added. And so I think that's the end of that question, and that's also the end of the paper. I do hope that you found that helpful. I hope it's of benefit to you. I hope that you're enjoying it. I'm certainly enjoying working through it with you. If you can give me a like, that'd be really great, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more in store. Please also do visit sharonbill.com and make use of all of the resource that's available to help you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.